starting off with what is anatomical position? Well, it's the position what you're in when your muscles are all completely neutral. So if you're standing straight, arms down by your side, nice and tall, and so we don't have any shoulder elevation, we don't have any hip bends, no knee bend, there's no muscles doing anything. Every muscle is completely neutral and nice and happy. All right. And during this position, all your muscles are comfortable. So there's not an overstretch in one direction, there's not a tightness in another direction. Everything is nice and neutral. So muscles are not restricted in perfect balance of each other. All right, it sounds nice because it is nice. So if you can imagine that this here, your trap muscle is elevated a little bit higher, okay, that's going to cause different muscles to stretch. These ones are going to elevate. You start to move away from that anatomical position where all your muscles are happiest and the most comfortable. So if we're talking about, getting some food from your hand to your mouth, you have to bend the elbow. We talk about flexing the elbow from anatomical position. So anatomical position is that first position, that complete neutral, that we start to label movements. And that's where therapists can assess you and say, okay, you've got an elevated shoulder. I mean, it's lifted up compared to anatomical position. We can see you've got a hip tilt, or you've got flexed hips from anatomical position, because we want you to be as close to anatomical position as possible, as often as possible. Now, it's very difficult and it's almost impossible to be perfectly balanced, but we've got to have a maintenance plan to be able to get back to anatomical position as often as possible, because that's when your muscles are happiest and healthiest, and they will work with you much better as well. So this is what it's all about. Yes, you got to use your body. For example, let's say you go for a long walk up a hill. All right, your calf muscles are going to get worked. That's fine. That's awesome. You're building fitness and strength. But then once you use muscles, they tighten. So you need to stretch back out. And this is when you're going to reduce those injuries. When we're seated at the desk, as we'll talk about a little bit more in depth shortly, your hips are in flexion. So these muscles are getting used a little bit, even though you're not adding load, but you're in flex position. So they're going to continue to tighten unless we stretch and reset them. So anatomical position is that position we're striving for as often as possible. And that's when our body is happiest and healthiest.